notes of unit number 1. So whatever we have discussed in last week about unit 1. So today I will be sharing the PPT screen. The moment I share a PPT screen, all of you are requested to take a screenshot of these slides. Okay. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Unit 1. Take a screenshot of this particular slide. We have discussed in detail during our session. So today I am just sharing PPT with you so that you can study at home. Overview. Then are you done with the overview? Have you taken a screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now I will show you one by one this management accounting, which speaks about the scope of management accounting. Scope, it is with economics, marketing, and production management. And then techniques of management accounting: marginal costing, standard costing, budgetary control. These are the techniques of management accounting. Then limitation of management accounting. So what is the limitation of management accounting? Anyone? Is there any limitation to management accounting? Yes, there is limitation to management accounting. So what is that limitation? Management accounting receives data from financial accounting and cost accounting. Okay. So if financial accounting is incorrect one, then the same incorrect data is being utilized in by management accountant. So this is one of the limitation which management accounting has. Now, who are interested in management accounting? So interested parties, internal management is the one. So it is meant for internal management. So this was about. Now, this speaks about differentiate between financial accounting and management accounting. So take a screenshot of this. Yes, may I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then difference between cost accounting and management accounting. So I highlighted 3 points of each. Cost accounting 3 points as well as management accounting 3 points. So from examination point of view, if you are asked, please remember these 3 points. Now, another is PPTs. Right. Accounting standards or accounting principles. Please do not be confused. that accounting principles and accounting standards are different. It is one and the same. As I told, in some books it is mentioned that accounting standards, in some book it is known as accounting principles. So there are concepts. So I have just mentioned the heading of these concepts. In case while sharing this PPT, if you want further explanation or discussion, please raise your query. You can speak out. If you understood, then no issue. If you are not understood still we can have a discussion. Any doubt for these concepts?
No, sir.
Very good. Then after concepts, if you are done with the snapshot, then accounting conventions. So 3 conventions. Again, everyone please take a screenshot of this. Conservatism, materiality, consistency. Then various terms frequently used in financial accounting. Again, if you remember, we have discussed meaning of each and every term, right from asset till trade discount. Trade discount, opposite to that, there is a cash discount. Now, if I ask you, what do you mean by cash discount? And who offers cash discount to whom? Yes. Cash discount arrangement is in between with whom?
Seller and buyer.
Yes. This arrangement, it is between retailer and customer, seller and buyer, retailer and customer. And what is the objective behind cash discount? Why cash discounts are offered by retailer to customer? Any reason?
Business continuity.
Business continuity, and retailer wants to increase his sale. So if cash discount is offered, then customer, there are chances that customer may buy more goods because there is a discount scheme. So this is one objective. Another objective, in order to make a cash payment, so retailer offers this kind of discount so that retailer will have maximum cash from customer. And trade discount, anyone? Trade discount, it is between with whom? Any idea? Am I audible?
So from manufacturer or wholesaler to retailer.
Yes, it is the facility between wholesaler and retailer. Very correct. It is a facility between wholesaler and retailer. And let me tell you, it is not being recorded in the books of retailer. It is not being recorded because it is the margin which is offered from wholesaler to the retailer. It is the margin. So that is why it is not recorded in the books of retailer.
Sir, can you give me an example?
Example, say, suppose wholesaler who sells goods in a large quantity, he is known as a wholesaler, or manufacturer who produces goods, either wholesaler or manufacturer who produces goods. So wholesaler or manufacturer sells goods to the retailer, because if you observe in market, there is a chain. there is a manufacturer. Then manufacturer, his job is to produce the goods, and then he sells to the retailer.
So we have one portal like India Mart portal, like which is for made for wholesalers only, who mainly wholesalers deal there. So they can give varieties of discounts to the customer so that one can take their offer.
Exactly. So individual can take offer from these stores. So this is the difference between cash discount and trade discount. Cash discount, it is between retailer and customer, whereas trade discount, it is between either a wholesaler or manufacturer and a retailer. Cash discount is recorded, trade discount, it is not being recorded. So remember these 2 points in regards to the cash discount and trade discount. So other terms also we have discussed, if you remember. Then type of expenditure, that is capital expenditure and revenue expenditure, vice versa, capital receipts and revenue receipts, and deferred revenue expenditure. Then about depreciation accounting. Are you able to see this PPT, depreciation accounting?
Yes, sir.
So here I have mentioned meaning of depreciation. What are the causes, what are the reasons of depreciation, and what are the types of depreciation? So depreciation, it is the gradual reduction in the books of value of fixed assets, and this happens because of use, wear and tear, time. As the time passes, the value of assets goes on a decreasing manner. As the time passes, the value of asset decreases. And obsolescence, as the new technology comes, old things goes out, and then new things come. The example which I mentioned last time earlier, in information technology IT, people were using floppy. Now floppy has outdated, it has gone now, and floppy is replaced with CD, pen drive, and so on. So this is the example of obsolescence. New technology, function is same, storing data, but the devices have been changed. Getting my example? Are you following my example?
Yes, sir.
Fine. And then types of depreciation accounting. SLM stand for straight line method, WDV stand for written down value method, and production unit method. So these are some types of depreciation method. And please do not have any doubt that which method is popular. So these all methods are acceptable. It is up to the organization, it is up to the company which method they are following. But they should continue the particular method for some years, because as we have learned in convention, consistency, we have learned accounting principle, consistency. Whatever policy adopted by organization, that policy should be continued for some years. In between, if you feel to change, so then you need to provide justification for that. You have to give justification to your stakeholders, and then you can change from one method to another method. But you should not go on changing frequently. That is the thumb rule. So this was about type of depreciation.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So will you please tell me once again the production unit method? What is it?
Yeah, this production unit method. Let me tell you, production unit method. Whenever there is a manufacturing company, they may follow this particular kind of method, production unit method. Now, how it is production unit method? Now, let me give you the example. Suppose if cost of machine is 1,10,000, okay, and
Yes, sir.
there is a estimated scrap value, say assume that 10,000 rupees, estimated scrap value 10,000 rupees, and company has estimated number of units to be produced. Assume that company estimation is 50,000 units. They have estimation for production 50,000 units. Now, how to calculate rate of depreciation as per production unit method? So the system formula is rate of depreciation per unit equals to cost of machine minus scrap value divided by estimated number of production. Now here, as I told, cost of machine is 1,10,000. Scrap value is 10,000. So from 1,10,000 minus 10,000. So remaining is how much? 1 lakh. This 1 lakh will be divided by estimated production. How much is estimated production?
50,000.
50,000. So 1 lakh divided by 50,000. So
Two.
that comes to rupees 2 per unit. Rupees 2 per unit. Now suppose if in particular year 7,000 units are produced, assume that 7,000 units are produced. So for 7,000 unit, the depreciation will be 14,000. That is 7,000 multiplied by rupees 2 per unit. So 14,000 will be the cost of depreciation. So this way, production unit method. So here we calculate depreciation as per unit level for per unit. So whatever units you are producing, you have to multiply with them, and then you get depreciation cost.
Oh, okay, sir. I got it 100%.
Very good. So this was about depreciation. So I am sure now everyone is having notes of unit 1. So
Yes, sir.
this was about unit 1. Now let's continue our unit 2.
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Sir, most of the students sometimes they have some work, so they don't join the classes. So, can you share that PPT to our mail or to the particular person so that he can share it to the group, the unofficial group of our students?
Now with whom I should share my PPT then?
Sir, let me give you mail ID or mobile number personally.
Okay. No,
Okay,
no,
sir. Thank you so much.
okay. We'll share. Now, as you all are aware, unit 2, which is about financial statement. And this financial statement, if you are asked a descriptive question, please remember this process chart. It is not that way difficult. Only 3 points I highlighted: generalizing, ledger posting, and trial balance. And once we prepare trial balance, then it becomes input or source for preparation of final account. Maybe in fill in the blanks or in multiple choice question, such kind of questions can be asked. So let them frame question of any type, but please clear your basics that when time comes to prepare final account, what is the source for final account? What is the source for final account?
The trial balance.
Trial balance is the source for final account. And under final account, we need to prepare these 3 statements: trading account, profit and loss account, and balance sheet. This also we have discussed and we are aware. Maybe tomorrow I will have just a little bit revision for this also. Now, from the examination point of view, if you are asked to prepare final account of sole proprietorship, because if you refer your syllabus, there is a point for numerical, that numerical question can be asked on preparation of final accounts of sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship. So from that point of view, whatever items listed in trial balance will have single effect. Items which are shown in trial balance, they carry single effect, either with trading account or profit or loss account or balance sheet. Out of three, one effect will be there, one effect. But this will not happen that in trial balance item is shown and the effect is given to the two accounts or all three accounts. This will not happen. So at one place, there will be effect of trial balance item. So remember this forever. Now, in addition to this trial balance, you might be given some adjustment, additional information. Now, whatever information comes under adjustment, it will have two effects. It will have double effect. And now we will discuss some important or frequently asked adjustment. And if you remember this adjustment, I don't think that you will have any problem during solving numerical on final account in regards to the sole proprietorship. As you see that various adjustment followed by trial balance. So on upper side there will be trial balance and below there will be adjustment. Now in regards to the closing stock, what it is. Now closing stock, which is this indicates the amount of stock in hand on the date of balance sheet. Now the basic principle on which the closing stock is valued at cost or market price, whichever is less. So there might be chances of two prices, market price and its cost. Now, which value is to be considered? Whether to consider cost or market price. So the rule is whichever is less. Whatever price is lower, that price will be considered. If market price is lower, consider market price. If cost is lower, consider that book value cost. And there will be two effects of closing stock. The first effect, whatever value you are considering, that value you will have to show the first effect, trading account credit side. Trading account credit side. And the second effect, since closing stock it is asset, so it will be shown on balance sheet under asset side, under current assets column. So this was the accounting treatment in regards to the closing stock. And in each and every numerical, closing stock adjustment will be given. 101% there will be adjustment on closing stock. So please remember two effects. Can you repeat what are the two effects of closing stock? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you share me the accounting treatment of closing stock? What are the effects of closing stock? What are the effects of closing stock? Yes, please.
Sir, it's credit side of the trading account and on asset side of balance sheet.
Yes, trading account credit side and asset side of balance sheet. Correct. Now, another point is adjustment. Again, this is frequently adjustment on depreciation. Now, whenever adjustment come for depreciation, again it will have two effects. The first, since depreciation is cost, it is expenses for organization. So it will be shown on debit side of profit and loss account. First effect, debit side profit and loss account. And depreciation, it is in regards to the fixed assets. So on balance sheet asset side, we used to show fixed asset. Suppose if depreciation pertains to furniture, say for example, if depreciation in regards to the furniture, so whatever amount we have shown in front of furniture on asset side of balance sheet, from that amount, depreciation cost will be deducted. Suppose if depreciation cost is say 5,000 rupees and furniture value, suppose say 1 lakh rupees. So from 1 lakh minus 5,000. So remaining 95,000 will be shown in balance sheet. So the second effect, deduct depreciation cost from the value of asset. Deduct depreciation cost from the value of asset. This will be the second effect. So two adjustment we have discussed, closing stock and depreciation. Any doubt for these two adjustment?
No, sir, but all the students are from engineering background, so it's very difficult for them to get these things.
No, right now we are discussing theory point of view. Maybe tomorrow we'll have a small numerical on this. So that time again we will be repeating these terms. But this information they need to remember. Whether,
Yeah, at least they can note down the effects
yeah,
which you
yes,
gave.
yeah. That is the expected thing, that they should note down that what are the effects of depreciation, what are the effects of closing stock, and every adjustment, as I'm sharing with you, there are double effect. There are two effects. So the first effect and the second effect, this thing they should remember.
Sir, if possible, you can share the numericals as well.
Yes, yes. Tomorrow we will be taking numerical. I will share that numerical with you. We'll share. But before jumping on the numerical, it is very much essential to know the theory of this adjustment, and then numerical. If I directly go to the numerical, then that will be little bit difficult for a non-commerce student. So we should follow step by step. So my practice is that first to give the theory input, then the effects of adjustment, then I will show you the structure or format of statement. That format you will have to note down, and then tomorrow, just before attending tomorrow's session, just go through the format which I am sharing today, and just remember this adjustment effect. So then tomorrow it will be easy for you to understand.
Sure, sir.
Now the third adjustment about outstanding expenses. Now this indicates the amount of expenses pertaining to the relevant period, which are not paid during the said period. According to the matching principle of accounting, income for a certain period needs to be compared with the expenses for the same period, whether it is paid or not. So accordingly, the first effect of this adjustment, that is outstanding, first effect of this adjustment is that the corresponding amount of expenses is increased. So this will be shown on profit and loss account debit side. And the second effect, since it is current liability, it will be shown on balance sheet liability side. So outstanding expenses, two effects. First effect, profit and loss account debit side, and the second effect, balance sheet liability side. Then prepaid expenses. Prepaid expenses. Now prepaid expenses. This indicates the amount of expenses pertaining to the next period, which are paid in advance during the relevant period. According to the matching principle of accounting, income for a certain period needs to be compared with the expenses for the same period. Accordingly, the first effect, that expenses are reduced, increasing the profit or reducing the loss. So first effect, profit and loss account. And the second effect, since it is current asset, it will be shown on asset side of balance sheet. Prepaid expenses are current asset. So the second effect, balance sheet, asset side. Now, the next one is accrued income. Now, what it is? Accrued income, this indicates the amount of income for the current period, which is not received during it. It is the income, but which is not received. According to the matching principle of accounting, income for a certain period needs to be compared with the expenses for the same period. Accordingly, the first effect of this adjustment is that the profit and loss account, and the second effect, balance sheet, asset side under current asset. Second effect, balance sheet, asset side as a current asset. Accrued income. So accrued income, it is income, but it is not received during it. Let me give the example. Say for example, now you are pursuing MBA first year. Okay. Now you have taken admission with the Matrix Institute. Now, do you think that all 120 students have paid their full fees during this year?
No, sir.
No. Now, today we are in the middle of January. Today is 13 January. Maybe in another 3 months, this financial year will be completed in 31st of March. By 3 months, it will be completed. But there is a practice that even after financial year, students, they keep on requesting institute that, sir, because of this financial condition, I may not be able to clear my fees, but I will pay my fees before examination comes. So examination may be maybe in the month of April or May of MBA. But till the time this financial year will be completed on 31st March. Now here what is happening? For Matrix, those who are taken admission first year, they should clear their fees before at least 31st of March. But because of some problems, students, they don't clear their fees. So from the point of view Matrix, this is their current income, but they haven't received it. They haven't received it. So what a Matrix will do? Matrix will show the first effect on their profit and loss account, and the second effect, since it is their asset, because it is yet to come, so balance sheet, asset side as a current accrued income. Now, with this example, I have understood the gravity of accrued income, because you all are having experience wherever you pursue education. You might have paid your full fees, but there are many students who do not pay full fees on the very first day of college. They go for installment or they delay payment. So same happens with the corporate also. Not only education suite, but even corporate also. Accrued income. Followed? Yes.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
now the next adjustment, provision for doubtful date. Provision for doubtful date. Let me give the explanation about this effect. Please listen. Provision for doubtful dates. Provision for doubtful date is necessary due to the possibility that all the customers to whom the credit sales have been made may not pay the entire amount. So this is one of the prediction that whatever sale, credit sale is being made by a company, it is estimated that all customers may not pay entire amount on time. Accordingly, the first effect of this adjustment, that the amount equivalent to the previous for provision for doubtful date is written off to profit and loss account. Since it is loss to the organization, so it will be written off to the profit and loss account. And the second effect, it will be minus from sundry debtors in the balance sheet. So on balance sheet asset side, there will be debtor amount. From that debtor amount, this provision for doubtful date will be deducted, will be minus. So this way, provision for doubtful date is being treated. So I have covered about 6 adjustment, 1, 2, 3, and in earlier slide, 1, 2, 3, 6 adjustment. So even if you remember this 6 adjustment, that is more than sufficient. It's more than sufficient from the examination point of view. So please do remember these 6 adjustments. Frequently these adjustments are asked in examination. Now, coming back to our yesterday, I think there was some problem with the internet connectivity. Today, are you facing any issue?
No, sir.
So it is continuous flow, no? Without any interruption. Have you followed properly objectives of financial statement? Again, descriptive question can be asked on this topic, objectives of financial statement. And if you would like to have a screenshot, please take a screenshot. Otherwise, one student has shared his email ID with me. I think Wagbare. So I will be sharing. I will send my PPT through mail. Other student can collect from Mr. Wagbare. Anurag Wagbare. Are you there, Anurag Wagbare? Anurag?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. So I have noted your email ID. So please share with your classmates. Okay,
Sure, sir. Thank you.
welcome. Now, yesterday we discussed these objectives, but still, if you are not followed, I am showing these two objectives right now. Are you clear with these two objectives? Have you followed these two objectives? Now, Another three objectives: providing information to stakeholder, and then providing information about the economic resources. And the third one is providing information as to how an organization is procuring and using various resources. About 7, 8 objectives I have shown. Whatever possible, try to inculcate and mention during examination. If you are able to remember all these 8 objectives, fine. If not, at least 4, 5 objectives you should remember. Now, in regards to the financial statement, as tomorrow we will have numerical on financial statement. But before we go for numerical, let us know the objective and meaning of each statement and its format. Now, trading account. Trading account. I will also show the format of trading account. Please go through this format, and you need to remember this format, and accordingly you have to solve the numerical on final account in regards to sole proprietorship. So this part of this is the part of profit and loss account, discloses the result of trading operation carried out by company. It records all direct expenses as well direct income, and the final result, either gross profit or gross loss. So this is the meaning and objectives of preparation of trading account. Format of trading account. First, you have to give the heading of trading account. Trading account, say for example, if it is say ABC company, suppose if Amar company, trading account of Amar company for the year ended 31st March. So this way you have to give the title, trading company of so and so company for the year ended 31st March. And there are 4 columns, particular amount, particular amount. So the left side it is debit and the right side is credit. And few items I have shown, starting with opening stock. If you are given opening stock in trial balance, so mention opening stock on the debit side. In addition to opening stock, if company has purchased material, so it will be recorded on debit side of trading account, that is purchase of material. If company pays wages and labor charges to their workers, so that amount should be debited to trading account. If it is salary, then salary is the part of profit and loss account. Salary should not be debited to trading account. Please remember, only wages amount, because wages are paid to the workers. It is direct expense. Then in order to run factory, company needs power and fuel. So these expenses, if incurs by company, then it should be debited to trading account. Then if company has paid a rent for a factory premises, so that will be debited to trading account. So these are some items which comes under trading account debit side. And on credit side, direct income, that is sales, and by default closing stock has to be written on credit side of trading account. Once you note down this point, then take the total of debit side as well as credit side. Now, if your debit side is lower and credit side is higher, then there will be gross profit. So that gross profit will be indicated. The difference amount will be indicated as gross profit. Vice versa. Suppose if your debit side is higher and credit side is lower, means your income is lower and expenses are higher. So there will be loss. So that loss will be shown on credit side, gross loss. And this way we close trading account. Once we calculate either gross profit or gross loss, then it will be carried forward to the next account, that is profit and loss account. Profit and loss account. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So profit and loss account, take a screenshot of this profit and loss account also. This part discloses the final result of business operation, and it records all indirect expenses as well indirect income. Indirect expenses are those expenses which assist for production activity. That is known as indirect expenses, like say your administrative expenses, administration expenses, then office expenses are the example of indirect expenses. Maybe advertisement, selling and distribution expenses are also example of indirect expenses. So such expenses should be debited to profit and loss account. As well, all indirect income other than sale, because sale we have recorded in trading account. Other than sale, suppose if company has issued some commission or interest from bank or a dividend from other company, so that is known as other income or indirect income. So it will be recorded in profit and loss account credit side, and then we take the total, and ultimately we show either net profit or net loss. Now let us share with you the format. Profit and loss account of so and so company for the year ended 31st March. Similarly, like trading account. Again, here there are 4 columns: particular, amount, particular, and amount. So on left hand side, that is debit side, and on the right side, it is credit side. As you see item here, these are all the examples of indirect expenses: postage and telegram, traveling and conveyance expenses, office rent, depreciation, advertisement, bad debts are some example I have shown. There will be a huge list of expenses, but all expenses cannot be mentioned in format. So this is just format. This is the structure of profit and loss account. And on credit side, whatever gross profit indicated in trading account, it is being carried forward here, gross profit, followed by other income. Other than gross profit, if any indirect income, it will be shown in profit and loss account credit side. And then we take a total, like trading account. Totaling is, suppose if your expenses are lower and income is higher, so there will be net profit. So net profit will be shown on debit side, vice versa. If your expenses are higher and income is lower, so income is less and expenses are higher, more, so there will be loss. So loss will be shown on credit side of profit and loss account. And this way, then we close profit or loss account, either by showing net profit or net loss. Then we have to close profit or loss account. Once we calculated net profit or net loss, then this will be carried forward to the balance sheet. Now let's know more about balance sheet. Before I show you the format of balance sheet, let me share with the little bit information of balance sheet. Balance sheet which shows the assets and properties, liabilities and capital of a company. So balance sheet purpose is to indicate the financial performance of company, That is the very purpose of balance sheet. So since it is showing financial performance of company, so all assets and liabilities and capital and liabilities are shown. Capital, as the owner introduces capital, that will be shown on liability side. Then there might be a long-term liabilities like say loan from a financial institution, debenture, etc. Then current liabilities, the examples I have mentioned under current liabilities like sundry creditors, outstanding expenses, bills payable are some example of maybe bank overdraft are the example of current liability. So it will be shown under liability side. As far as assets concerned, starting with fixed assets, like say building, machinery, furniture, vehicle, etc. Then followed by current assets. Current assets, there might be closing stock, as we have discussed, closing stock adjustment. Now, just to test your knowledge. Suppose if you are if you are given two values of closing stock, two values of closing stock. One is market value and one as per book value. So which value we will consider? Yes, can you answer me? Suppose in examination, if you are given two values of closing stock, one is book value and the other one is market value. So which value we will consider?
Market value.
Market value.
Whichever is less.
Yes, but apply there whichever is less. Whichever is less, that value should be considered. If you are given market value and book value, whichever is the lower value, whichever is the less value should be considered during preparation of final account. Please do remember about closing stock, because this tricky point is given in examination, and many times students they consider market value, or sometimes they consider book value without applying parameter, whichever is lower. So the accounting principle says that whichever is lower, that should be considered in regards to the closing stock. So please do remember this. So closing stock is the item of current asset, sundry debtors, cash balance or bank balance. And then if you consider all items in well manner, then naturally this balance sheet will be carried. Means your liability equals to asset or asset equals to liability. So this is the structure or format of balance sheet. So please take a screenshot of this slides. Now, sorry. Now we will conclude our session. Before I conclude session, please go through this all slides. Tomorrow we will be taking a numerical on final account. And whenever you attend tomorrow's session, please carry pen and page with you. Okay? Please do remember. Whenever you sit in front of your laptop or you hold your cell phone, please have page and pencil with you, so that immediately we will solve the numerical on the final account. So with this, I declare the end of session of today's topic.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. And tomorrow, please remember, carry one page and pencil with you, pen and page, so that we will solve the numerical on final account. I will show you the problem on screen. Only solution is expected by you to write down the solution. So I will be dictating and you will have to note down on the piece of paper. Okay?
Okay.
Bye. Take care.